Mexico, are strikes against the cartels still on the table?
Absolutely.
Even against our biggest trading partner?
Absolutely. Mexico's going to have to straighten it out really fast, or the answer is absolutely. They're killing 300,000 people a year with fentanyl coming in.
Senator, your mother, victim of addiction.
The president's point about this, if the poison that is coming across the border now had been coming across 20 years ago, I don't think that my mom would be here.
That's former President Trump and his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, on the fentanyl crisis with Fox's Jesse Waters. Trump says he's willing to take that fight to drug traffickers while they're still in Mexico. Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles now introducing 2 articles of impeachment against Vice President Kamala Harris. One article for her role in the border crisis and the other for her misleading the American people about President Biden's physical and cognitive well-being. Joining me now is the man himself, Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles, member of the House Financial Services Committee and the House Freedom Caucus. Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being with me.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I have your articles of impeachment against Kamala Harris. Tell us where this goes next.
Well, you know, obviously we have Bibi Netanyahu here today, and then we'll be recessing for much of August and the beginning of September. So there'll be a pause period, and then obviously I'll push to bring these up. But here's the thing. We have a crisis at the southern border. We are being invaded. Our kids, our streets are being poisoned by fentanyl, and then crime is run rampant. She was the border czar. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, and we have to hold her accountable and start defining her for her failures.
Yeah, and in terms of the border, do you believe this would be the priority for the Trump administration?
Well, I can't speak for the Trump administration, but I have an oath that to uphold as a member of Congress. We have an officer of this government that's not done their job. They have betrayed the American people. Look, you have mayors in Chicago and New York saying, please stop the fentanyl crisis. Please close our border. So we're being compelled to do something. And again, we've got to define her before the woke media can reinvent her, if you will.
So I want to talk about that and really dig into her policy today, Congressman Ogles, because Kamala was campaigning in Milwaukee yesterday, and she said that she's focused on the economy. Watch this.
We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. Where every worker has the freedom to join a union. Where every person has affordable health care. So all of this is to say, building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency.
Well, there is a lot of people today talking about her policies. A new piece from the Daily Signal warns Harris's economic policies are further to the left than Bernie Sanders. Then Senator Harris voted against Jay Powell's nomination as chairman of the Federal Reserve because he wasn't inflationary enough. And as vice president, she pushed the Fed to focus on diversity. Harris also was once rated the most liberal U.S. senator of all, and she voted against Trump's tax cuts and the U.S., Mexico, and Canada trade agreement. Here's some more of Harris's views on the economy. She's in favor of Medicare for all, universal basic income, increasing taxes, and banning fracking. Congressman, the Journal on the 23rd writes this: in her campaign debut, Kamala Harris steers left. And they go through talking about some of the things that she discussed yesterday. The person who introduced her was an educator with a doctorate who said that thanks to the Biden-Harris administration, quote, I had almost all of my student loan debt forgiven. Your reaction?
Well, I mean, when you look at her policies, when you look at her talking points, when you look at what she did as a senator, so she has a track record that we can look at. It was an absolute disaster. This idea that she would lift up the middle class, she would bankrupt and destroy the middle class. This would be a wealth distribution like we've never seen before. And so, again, we've got to define her because the woke media is going to be complicit in trying to cover up her past in the same way they were complicit in covering up for Joe Biden. And so we can't sit back and just wait for them to do this. We've got to be aggressive. We've got to define the message as we go forward because, look, our sovereignty, the republic is at stake. We've got to shut down the border. We've got enemies who are on the move, whether it's Russia, whether it's China. They want to displace us as the world's dominant predator, as the world's dominant economy. And so we've got to ensure that Donald Trump takes the White House.
Well, I wonder what this means for swing voters when you see these kinds of extreme left policies. She's got about 100 days to convince people that she's actually not further to the left than Bernie Sanders, but her record in the Senate included her supporting Sanders' bill to outlaw private health insurance.
Well, and again, once people start to understand this and realize this, I think that's where J.D. Vance is going to be critical as we move forward, because he can go to the Rust Belt. He can talk about what his family went through, the drugs, the poverty, and then how he evolved and worked his way to be successful. That's the American dream. That's the story that people want to talk about, not the platitudes that Kamala Harris is going to try to deliver to the American people. They're going to lie, they're going to obfuscate, and she's going to be assisted by the media. And so this is why your voice is so critical as we move forward, because we can't let her get away with this.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought that she was going to double down on abortion and entitlements, but that, you know, is obvious. The others may not be as obvious to people out there. Having said all of that, Adam Johnson, you're still uncomfortable with articles of impeachment, aren't you?
I am, Maria, and I tell you why. I used to criticize the Democrats for impeachments to nowhere that just made them look angry and like we were school children who couldn't get along on the playground. And so my concern here is that's actually now the way the Republicans look. And I wish we wouldn't necessarily pursue impeachments that are never going to produce anything.
Congressman, final word.
Well, I would say, you know, in that moment when Donald Trump was shot, he paused, he raised his hand, and he made a fist, and he said, I'm going to fight for this country. I'm going to fight for you. That's what this does. We're laying out a case as to why Kamala Harris isn't going to fight for the middle class. She's here to destroy it, and we're going to fight for this country.
Andy Ogles, it's always good to see you. Thank you, sir.